I'm here at the Captain Cook Hotel today to speak at a fundraising event for the Alaska Center for the Blind. This is October 5th of 2016. I'd like to extend my appreciation and thanks to the staff and management here at the Captain Cook Hotel for making this event possible today. I'd also like to say thank you to the board of directors, staff, and everyone at the Alaska Center for the Blind. There you go. There you go. All right.
Thank you.
In my line of work, this is called Take Two. Good afternoon. I'm Justin Oldham, and I would like to say thank you very much to the staff and management at the Captain Cook Hotel here. Thank you for everybody for making all this possible for us. I would also like to say thanks to the executive director, Reagan Mattingly, and the board of directors for allowing me to speak to you here today. When we talk about seeing with our hearts, what we are really getting at is thinking about past, present, and future in terms of the way it relates to us. And I think I just took the microphone off the stand, but these are called technical difficulties. They happen to me all the time, and sometimes on live radio you just have to roll with it. So when we're thinking about past, present, and future, we oftentimes tend to think about them in terms of ourselves. We so easily forget that we're part of a larger community. We have a shared experience. And when we think of ourselves as me, myself, and I, we can forget that we're actually part of we and us. When we stop and think about this for a minute, it can actually be fairly profound. We, as the visually impaired community, have a long history. It goes back to the beginning of time. In terms of recorded history, ever since people started putting words on paper, it dates from Homer on to the present. Now we're here today to put the spotlight on the Alaska Center for the Blind. This is a clearinghouse for information and a place you go to get a lot of skills you need to do personal and professional things throughout your life. Director Mattingly just got done telling you that they're going to start reaching out to kids and start helping children. And as a former child, I can tell you that's very helpful. My initiation into this community started in grade school. As a child in the 1970s, early teachers put me in the back of the room. They told me that I didn't have to learn these things because I was blind. Later on, I was told that my future was going to be in areas like food service. And while that was never meant to be a bad thing, I was told to aim low early on. In the winter of 1973, I met somebody that some of you might have known. Her name was Jane Brody. She was what you would call today a teacher of the visually impaired. And she was one of the very first people I can ever remember who told me, aim high, think big, go big, do big. And as part of the lessons that we learned in those dark winter days, in the back of a nurse's office, she taught me how to use an electric typewriter. Of course, no, she also said, if you do actually go on to be a writer, I hope the world will forgive me. But I did use what I learned in practical fashion. It was a form of assistive technology because it built a bridge from what I could not see to what I wanted. Later on in high school, when it was time for me to get ready to go out into the world and function as an adult, I met an orientation and mobility instructor named Alan Weinstein. And well, I was not the best of students, and so it is entirely possible I may have, okay, I'll admit it, I may have played a role and maybe be the reason why he's follically challenged today. That's not really the reason why we're here. So, but Alan was good to me. He was patient with me, and over the course of 2 years, he taught me what I needed to know. And as part of that process, because the center did not exist in the form that it exists today, I had to come to Anchorage on 2 separate trips to learn the daily living skills that you can now learn at the Taft Street address. Over the years, as my vision has gotten better, I get to put them aside. But as my vision has gotten worse, I reach back to them. They are my old friends. When I have to go to my doctor's office and get more bad news, they are there with me. I can go home, I can cook, I can clean, I can do what I have to do because I learned back then what I need to know now. I was able to go on to college. I was able to go on to professional life because those skills, I will always and forever use them. You know, it's entirely possible if somebody had gotten to me earlier in life and showed me those things earlier in life, they would have given me a little more confidence, which I clearly lack today. But it's all part of the shared experience we have, because some of what I've said, a lot of you could relate to. Now, ultimately, as we look into the future, someday, one of you in this room is going to be standing where I'm at now, and you're going to be telling your own version of this story. Your experience will be somewhat like mine. It will be it'll be different, but it'll be like all of ours. And the fact is that we are a lot of things. We are thinkers and poets. We are historians. We're politicians. And right now that's important because here in October of 2016, we're approximately a month away from getting ready to elect our next president. And it's worth noting that in relatively recent history, visually impaired people have played important roles in our politics. In 1975, the governor of Arkansas got himself elected to the United States Senate. So Arkansas needed themselves a temporary governor, and they called on a member of their state government. He was Bob C. Riley, a World War II veteran who lost an eye. And I remember seeing this reported on the national news. He served for just 11 days, but he did so wearing a big, bold, black eye patch, and everybody talked about it. It was just scandalous. Why was he calling attention to himself like that? Later on, when I did lose an eye to glaucoma, I knew exactly why he was calling attention to himself like that, because I still, to this day, will sometimes put on a black eye patch and walk around this town. It's because I'm not ashamed of it. It's just part of what happened to me. And to be quite honest, my wife thinks it's attractive. Now, quite recently, in 2008, you will recall that the governor of New York got himself in trouble with the scandal. He had to resign, so his lieutenant governor, David Patterson, served out the last 2 years of his term. David Patterson was just as legally blind as anybody in this room, but he served the people of New York competently. So now here we are, we're looking at the future. It's not impossible to think that someday a visually impaired presidential candidate might be on the TV somewhere. And they might be talking foreign policy, domestic economics, wherever it is, and we might be taking them seriously. So as we look at what we're talking about here today, as you look at what you're going to see in the video here in the next few minutes, just give that some thought, because the support you lend to this organization and organizations like it, this is not just civic responsibility, this is investing in the future, and it has consequences. Someday, when whoever it is standing here having this conversation with you, that's what it's going to be. It's not going to be a pitch, it's going to be a conversation, because they're going to be sharing the same thing with you that you have already done with them. Chances are good you may have worked with them. You will know them. Everybody lives in the same town. So we do a lot of the same things. Now, I would just go ahead, I would just like to wrap up my remarks by making one last point. We are here today because of what people did in the past. In 1977, the Sensory Impairment Center opened. What we know of today as the Alaska Center for the Blind opened in 1988. Here we are, 2016. Who knows what it is in 2116? So please just keep that in mind the next time the phone rings and somebody at the center would like you to help with something or participate with something, because this is not just a demand on your time. It's not just an ask. This is seriously an investment in the future, and it can yield very large dividends that go beyond our lifetimes. So thank you very much for your time.
I want to thank Justin for his wonderful remarks and inspiration to all of us. So thank you, Justin, for your support of the center and your wise words of wisdom. I also want to let you know how to get a hold of the center if you want to reach us. We're online at www.alaska, B as in Bravo, V as in Victor, I as in Indigo.org. You can also reach us by phone at 248-7770. Thank you very much.